Hi guys, this is a review for Chapter 7. Okay, the first question you will encounter on your test is going to look similar, but not the same, similar to this one. It says write an inequality that is represented by the graph. Okay, so before I can write an inequality, basically the format of the inequality is going to be y and then an inequality sign and mx plus b. So my goal is going to be to go back and, find the inequality sign, sub that in, find m, sub that in, and find b and sub that in. Okay, so m, b, we can nail that inequality sign right now. So if you take your pen or your pencil and you put that along the line. Okay, let me make it just wide. Okay, so let's say this is my pen or my pencil. All right. If I am moving this, well, it's not letting me move it. All right, Active Inspire is being a pain. Go to your y-intercept. Let's go in a different order. Let's go to my y-intercept. My y-intercept is right here at -1. Okay. If I go on my y-intercept and I follow the y-axis down, I'm in the shaded zone. That means less than. I'm also noticing that it's a dashed line. So a dashed line indicates no equal bar. Okay. So y-intercept, I have to go down to get into the shaded area, and so that means less than. Okay? Slope. I have a y-intercept already, and I see another point right here. It's the next available point that I see that's right on the coordinate grid. And hopefully you remember rise over run from last year. This is 3 and 1. So 3 over 1 is 3. So 3x minus 1. Okay? A word problem. Wanda sews small and large stockings. It takes her a half hour to sew, or 0.5 hours, to sew a small stocking and 1.5 hours to sew a large stocking. Wanda has 10 hours available to sew stockings. The cost of producing stockings are $1.50 for a small stocking and $3 for a large stocking. The materials to make the stockings must cost at most $50. Write a system of inequalities that represents the system or the situation. So we're just writing a system of linear inequalities. We're not graphing it. We're not finding the solution. I mean, there's lots of solutions. I mean, the whole shaded zone of a graph is a solution. We're just writing the inequalities. So first of all, what are our variables? Well, we're going to have S for small stocking and L for large stocking, and I'm going to abbreviate that a little bit there so it fits. Okay, I would encourage you to use a cursive L every time you want to use L as a variable so that it does not look like a 1. Okay, so it takes her a half hour for a small and 1.5 hours for a large. And we know we're talking about 10 hours. Okay, she has 10 hours available. All right, which means that she could work less than that. She could get them done faster than 10 hours, but she's not going to go over 10 hours. All right, so that's going to be less than or equal to. All right, cost-wise, the cost of producing them is $1.50 for a small and $3 for a large, and we know that has to do with 50. But I gotta say, in your presentations in class today, many of you did not read this very carefully and did not put the right inequality sign. You were thinking that $1.50 and $3 is what she's charging other people, and that's not the case. What it's saying is that it's the cost of producing it. In other words, the cost of buying the materials. She wants that to be at most $50, which means she doesn't want to spend more than $50 on materials. So close reading, guys. Don't assume that you know what it's saying about the $50. So that should be less than 50. Okay, so be cautious on that. Next one, graph the solution to this system of inequalities. So you would graph the first one, and in 8th grade math, you learn how to graph simple linear equations by hand. So I'm doing this by hand right now. But if you needed to go into your calculator and your y equals and make yourself a table to do it, then please do so. All right, now before I connect these dots together, I'm checking, does this inequality sign have a equal bar? No, it does not. So when I connect the dots, I am doing so with a dash line. And then it says less than. So coloring wise, okay, if you go to your y-intercept, you're coloring down. If you're using the 0, 0 method, I'll show you that in a minute. Finish coloring here. 0, 0 method would be 0 in for y and 0 in for x. So 0 is less than 1. That's true, so I will color toward the origin. The origin would be in the shaded region. Okay, this one says y is greater than or equal to negative 1/3 x minus 2. So minus 2, down 1, right 3. Again, if this is not something that you remember how to grade by or graph by hand, you can put this in your y equals. Now, this inequality does have an equal bar, so I will use a solid line. 0, 0, y is greater than negative 1/3 times 0 minus 2. 0 minus 2 is negative 2. Let's see. 0 is, oops, I flipped the inequality sign around by accident. 0 is greater than negative 2. Well, that's also true. So I would color toward the origin. Or you can say if it's a greater than, I can start on my y-intercept and go up because it's greater than. Okay, and the solution would be this greenish zone over here. Remember, the solid line still represents solution. The green zone represents solution. The dashed line is not a solution, and neither is the intersection. It's not a solution. Okay, guys, when we have 3 or more of these, usually the point of them is to you end up graphing a shape. If it's 3 lines, it'll make a triangle. If it's 4 lines, it'll make a quadrilateral of some kind. The point of them is to make that shape. Okay, so I have said that on these, instead of trying to use lots of colors to shade it in, you can just shade the solution area, which is going to be the inside of the shape it makes. So y is greater than negative 3. Hazy horizontal line at negative 3, specifically a horizontal dotted line. Okay? And we'll save the shading for the end. All right, then we have negative 3x plus 4. So here's plus 4, down 3, right 1. And that's going to be a solid line because there's an equal bar. And lastly, 2x plus 5. and that is also a dashed line because there's no equal bar. And the triangle it makes is where we are going to shade. Okay? I would highly encourage you for this question and this question on your test to know Hazy Vixen. I sent home your bookmark today with Hazy Vixen on it. We need to know Hazy Vixen. Okay, on your test tomorrow, this will be a multiple choice. It says, which system of linear inequalities is represented by the graph? And on your test tomorrow, it'll give you 4 choices. My strategy for you is to eliminate things you know it can't be. Now, we don't have choices to do that with in this picture, so we're just going to, straight up answer it. So I'm going to do this black line first. All right, that is a horizontal line. Hazy, it's crossing at -3. Hazy has a Y in it, so Y, let me color code it. Y is, let's see, it's a solid line, so greater than or equal to 3, because we're coloring above that line. The red line, okay, first of all, it is a less than or equal to because it has a solid line as well. It crosses at -3 as well. And the slope of this line, here's a point here at 0, -3. And here's another point. Now, if we count boxes straight up, we're going to be in trouble, okay? Because every other box is counting by ones. So this is 1, -1 right here. So my rate of change is 0 to 1 is my change in x. -3 to -1 counted by 2's, so that's 2x minus 3. In my blue one, okay, the blue one is colored underneath the blue line, also less than or equal to. The blue line crosses at +2.5. All right. Let's see. So I have a point here, 0, 2.5. And the blue line also has a nice coordinate right here at 2, 0. So my slope there goes from 0 to 2, so that's a change of 2. And 2.5 down to 0, that's -2.5. So -2.5 over 2 is -1.25. So -1.25x plus 2.5. And that's the system of inequalities that will give me that picture. Now again, I want to stress tomorrow is going to be multiple choice. You won't have to write them from scratch like that. All right, Cellular Everywhere charges $50 per month plus $5 per line for a family plan. Mobile Families charges $30 per month plus $7.50 per line. Your family can spend at most Y dollars on a plan. Write a system of inequalities where X equals the number of lines that can be used to determine the better deal. All right, I see per twice for each thing, and it kind of goes back to the Sunday problem. In 1 month, you're going to have several lines. And it also tells you that X equals the number of lines. So the per that goes with the X is the 5 per line. That ends up being your rate of change. And the month ends up being B. Okay, so in 1 month, you have 3 families using, 3 phone lines. Not 3 families, 3 phone lines in 1 family. So there's more than 1 phone line in each month. All right, so that's 1. Okay, so the cost at most is a keyword meaning less than or equal to $5 per line plus 50. And the same cost, less than or equal to, again, $7.50 per line plus 30. Okay, so that's what they're looking for. That would mean this 30 also is a month, so that's a B, and this is 750, that's another line, that's an M, that's another rate of change. Okay, the next problems you can look at, since they're multiple choice, you can do a couple different ways. One way is via the calculator, and one way is via actual algebra. I'm waiting for the calculator to load. In the calculator, if I go to, first of all, if you want to see this as an inequality, you're going to need to change this. It should be a line on the default. But if you hit enter, I want it to be, this is a less than, so I want the bottom triangle to be lit up. Like that, that's a less than. Go down to your OK. And y equals, arrow over, 3 plus 4x. Okay. So 2 and 100, here's 1, here's 2-ish, somewhere in here, like the blue lines covered up some of my hash marks. But the point is, this is only up to 10. So we're going to be well into the white zone when we get to 2 and 100. But 3, 4 would be in the blue zone. Okay, I don't know if this is 2 or 3. All right, but at any rate, either way, it's in the blue zone right there, so you can see that. Now, you can also look at this algebraically, which is if I sub values in, like 100 is less than 3 plus 4 times 2. I want to see if that's true or false. So 3 plus 8 is 11. Is 100 less than 11? No, that's false. So that would mean this choice is not the answer. Okay? And now, by virtue of the fact that I only gave you 2 choices, you're going to have all 4 on your test. But I want you to see what it is you are looking for. What you are looking for is the choice where when I sub in, 4 is less than 3 plus 4 times 3. 4 is less than, let's see, 12, 15. That's true. Okay, so but remember, you're going to have 4 choices to test out, and 3 of them will be wrong. Be mindful of things like this. 5 is less than or equal to 5. 5 is less than 5. This is false. This is true. This has nothing to do with the current question. Okay, these are not numbers in the current question, but keep in mind that if you have numbers the same, you have to have the equal bar for it to be true. If you don't have the equal bar, it's false. Okay, which is a solution to the system. Now, in a system, you have to test the numbers in both inequalities. Okay, so if my first choice is 0, negative 10, I'm going to put negative 10 in for y greater than 3 times 0 plus 1. Negative 10 is greater than, let's see, 0 plus 1 is 1. Well, that's false. And if I test it out in the first equation and it's false, I don't even have to bother with the second equation. Okay, I don't have to bother because it's not going to be. All right, let's do the second choice. So negative 1 is greater than 3 times negative 3 plus 1. So negative 1 is greater than 3 times negative 3, that's negative 9. Negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8. Okay, that's true. Let's go to the second inequality. The second inequality says that y, which is negative 1, is less than or equal to negative 2 times negative 3 plus 5. So negative 1 less than or equal to, let's see, that's positive 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. Well, negative 1 is less than or equal to 11, so that is also true. So that's going to be the answer. But like I said, on the actual test, you're going to have more than 2 choices. You're going to have all 4, and you got to find the one that's true for both. Here again, there is a calculator cheat to this that really only works for us because we're, it's a multiple choice question. So we're going to have 3x plus 1, and that is a greater than. So let's remember to go back and switch this. Okay, enter. Okay, that's a greater than. And hit OK. If you forget to hit OK, which I've done a couple times, it won't register the change. Okay, this one is a less than. So I'll hit enter. An arrow. Whoops, I don't want to change the color. Okay, there's the less than, the triangle at the bottom. OK. And we've got negative 2x plus 5. And looking at the graph. Okay, so our solution zone is over here on the left. And 0, negative 10 is not in that kind of dark red purpley zone where red and blue overlap and should make purple. I don't know how it looks on your screen. But negative 3, negative 1 looks to be in that zone. Okay. I would caution you on this that if you had one straight on the line, you're going to have to remember whether there's a solid line or a dashed line. Okay, so if one of your choices happened to be on the line, I would caution you on that because, at least mathematically, you can see an inequality bar. Okay, last question on the test. How do you determine whether an inequality will have a dashed or solid line? Okay, this can be a pretty simple sentence. If there is an equal bar the line is solid. If there is no equal bar, the line is dashed. Whoops, forgot the H. Okay, good luck on your test. See you next time.